guys, welcome back. Time has already flown and we're 9 episodes down. And today we have a special guest where she's a second generation food industry provider, and specifically she's into retail MSME. We'd like to welcome Pradyota.
Hi.
So Pradyota, you've been in this industry for how long exactly?
So my involvement full time has been for 3.5, 4 years now.
Okay.
But I've been involved in the business, even before I entered it.
Okay.
Because it was family business, right? And the first gen is your family. So you've been there seeing it grow from, early days till now. So I've come and done some work in between, and given some feedback, looked at data, but not like a full-time employee. Yeah.
So this has basically started by your father. And how long has it been since the company has been running?
So my dad is one of the founders, and there's
Okay.
another partner.
Okay.
He's a silent partner in this, and my dad has been the one who's been doing the operations.
And how exactly did he land up into this? Do you remember?
Yes, I remember very clearly. So he was actually a marketing person for pumps and seals. He was a mechanical engineer, and before that he was a marine engineer.
Okay.
And he sailed for a couple of years, and then he quit that and then joined marketing. So his core was marketing. So he understood how to sell products.
Okay.
So he said, okay, I know how to sell products. Let me go into another industry and try my luck.
Okay.
And it so happened to be food. He said, okay, I know it's a new industry for me. And he was 50 years old. But he said, no, I'm 50 years young.
Okay.
And he said, KFC, right? He found the perfect recipe at the age of 50. So I still have a lot of time.
Okay.
So I'll figure it out and I'll do it. And he quit a very well-paying job to come to Bangalore and start this journey.
Okay, so basically before Bangalore, where was he residing?
So we moved around.
Okay.
We were there in Hubli for 3 years, and before that we were there in Chennai for 8 years, and Hyderabad 7 years. 7 years for me, 8 years for my parents.
So as soon as he started, like, how was the growth? Like, what was the hardships that he faced?
For the first 5 years, we had no income.
Okay.
And as a family, with 2 young girls, 2 teenagers, it was not at all easy.
Okay.
And my mother and I, we even conducted tuitions for small kids towards the 3rd year.
Okay.
Just to manage the house a little bit. And then we just kept telling ourselves, okay, we will get there eventually. So it's been a lot of support from our family and a lot of drudgery just to get here.
So, I mean, what was his motivation for 5 years? Like, what did he ever feel like, did I make a mistake, or should I still continue to go?
Never. He was always right from the start, he's like, I'm going to be India's #1 company. Even the day he started it, he said that I'm going to do this.
Okay.
So he never wavered in his dedication, never wavered in his commitment. He said, no, if not today, I'll figure it out tomorrow.
Okay. So what was his primary goal? Like, just prepare the packets and distribute it, or what did he want to go and sell it to the retail stores, kind of stuff like?
So he was very clear about what he wanted to do. He said that, no, I want to build a brand.
Okay.
I want to build a brand in the retail space. And this was in 2009. So in 2009, there were only so many places that you can go and be a brand.
Okay.
So there was Food World, there was Nilgiris, there was Spar had just then started. More was actually very big at that point.
Yes.
So he reached out to all of these people and he said, okay, this is what I'm doing. I want to start a couple of products in this line. And he noticed that chutney powders as a brand was not there at that time.
Okay.
He said, okay, this is what I want to do. Are you in? And then we launched in all of these stores. And from there, he saw a gap in the home baking section around 2013-14.
Okay.
There were not a lot of brands. There were no brands actually at that time in the home baking sector. So he said, why not do it? And then he figured out how to do the chocolate aspect of it. And then he brought in chocolates at first, and then he started adding a lot more products in that line.
Okay. So by means of chocolate, like what exactly, once you procure your product, what does it do? Is it just like a recipe for the cake, or like everything is mixed? Because you have lot of these ready-made masala time stuff, right? Is it something similar to that?
No, these are all specifically for decoration.
Okay.
So even the chocolates are specifically made for decoration.
Mm-hmm.
So if you notice those decorative chocolate
Yes.
items on the top on the cake,
Mhm.
right? They're all made with chocolates.
Yes.
And that is why we are all selling at 150 grams, because for baking you will need kgs of chocolate.
Mhm.
So that was not the intention. The intention was to get into the baking decorative section. So the chocolates and the decoratives, chips, sprinkles, then cherry tutti frutti, and there's something called choco beans, which is similar to your choco gems.
Yeah. So from chutney powder to the chocolate part, like, how long did it take for him to understand that this is also a market that I need to tap into?
About 4 years.
Okay. So during this 4 years was purely focused on
Chutney powders.
And I mean, like, was it exclusively in Bangalore or all over India?
At that time, we were exclusively in Bangalore, and we also tried to move into Chennai.
Okay.
So actually, before the chutney powder line, we were doing B2B.
Okay.
There was this product called Jelly Bites
Yes.
that used to be sold in Nilgiris.
Yeah.
So we were their manufacturer. So we started there, and then we started our own brand simultaneously.
So you're basically the manufacturer and the distributor, or just a distributor?
We are both the manufacturer and the distributor ourselves.
Okay. So your factory is situated in Bangalore or?
Bangalore.
Okay. How did he come across the machinery? Like, did he do some research that we need these kind of machines, or like was it basically go and visit other factories and try to learn kind of stuff?
Yeah, so it's a lot of research and checking what is out there and going and visiting these factories. Not competitor factories, obviously, other factories who make these machines. And he was also a mechanical engineer. So a lot of times he's also done CAD and said, I want this specific machine, and then he's also made that.
Okay.
So
That's good. So in terms of machinery cost, I mean, like, how did it roughly cost you, like, at that stage?
At that stage, so the way we've been doing is that because we are bootstrapped, we didn't go all in our investment. We've been doing it one step at a time. We've been investing in machines one step at a time. Every year we will look at our budget and see what we can bring in. Okay. And that's how we've been operating.
So basically you're running on the profit of what you make and then you invest back.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a sustainable business.
Very sustainable. Yeah.
So after the chocolate product, like, what else did you all venture into?
So when I joined, I said I already had a product line. Okay. And I said, why not merge this into our brand and then see where it goes. So we started with a line of ready to cook products. So I was abroad at that time, and I saw a space over there for the Indian market. And I said, okay, we have a unit over here. Why not bring this and then do it there? But COVID happened, and then I had to change my plans. I had to come home. So we tried to export it to a couple of partners, and we've been trying to get new partners there and see if we can export in.
This is in UK.
So we've tried in UK, we've tried in US, we've tried in Dubai with a couple of partners, and it's not been working so far for us, but maybe in the future because it's relatively new. So it's.
So I mean, what is the role of the partner in abroad? What do they have to do? They just distribute, or?
Yeah, they'll distribute to the stores.
Okay. Couldn't you do that by yourself, like by
There's a lot of legal hassles that come with it. So it is better for us to sell it to them, and they will be the company that distributes.
Someone wants to be a partner, right? So what is the process of filtering out? You do some background check, or like this is basically like someone who's situated abroad, because there are people who might be watching. They might be interested in being a partner for your company. So if they want to be a partner, like what is your requirements?
So my dad has a very soft spot for entrepreneurs. So if there's anybody who wants to try and who wants to do something new and they approach us, he gives them a lot of leeway and say, okay, why don't you try this? Why don't you do this? And I'll help you with this. So we've done that. And if you want to look at the proper partners, the way to go about it is to see their experience and the stores that they are in and how they're doing their current marketing with their products. and how well they will fit in with your brand.
But I mean, like demand and supply, how is it in India compared to abroad? Is there a lot of demand here?
For our products?
Yeah.
Yeah. So initially when we launched with the chutney powders, there was a lot of demand, and COVID sort of boosted that for us.
Okay.
Because people were at home and they needed something really quick. Chutney powders was the answer, because you couldn't get fresh food. And then during COVID, there was a lot of interest in baking. And because we were selling on big basket, we were doing fairly well for ourselves at that time. But now we are there in 50 cities across India. We sell from Kerala to Delhi and Gujarat to Assam.
Okay.
So a baking line is doing great in all of these areas because people are slowly getting into that space.
So basically, your products are in most of the supermarkets.
Yeah, so we are very focused on supermarkets and hypermarkets because we know and understand this particular segment very well. Right from the start, that has been our focus. Because these are people who are fairly going to be using these products. These are people who have some amount of disposable income. People who have high purchase power. So that's been our segment right from the start, and we've been aiming products only for this segment. That is why we are not very focused on the kirana markets or the smaller stores, because we know that we will never break into them, or even the smaller cities. So even within the city, we have to check what is the demographic over there and who is our product or who is our market, and only then we push for the sales in that particular store.
So if you have your own, I mean, I'm assuming that you have your online website. So if someone wants to book it directly through your website, is there an option for that?
Yeah, so we did that during COVID because we realized, okay, how do we still talk to customers without being there? So we brought in an e-commerce store, and then we said, okay, we'll also go on Amazon and Flipkart and see how that goes for us. The thing is that because we're very retail focused, we don't make a lot of profits when we do online, because we have to figure out the logistics for only one item. So the costs go up. But with stores, we're giving them in bulk and we're shipping them in bulk. But even though we're not making any profits, we said, okay, this is a great way for us to stay in touch with our customers and also a great way for brand awareness.
And in terms of marketing, like what is your sole, I mean, do you have different types of marketing aspects, or is there something which you're focused on? Like, because nowadays Instagram, there's a lot of trend of reels and this. So is there one particular thing that you focus, or there are other aspects of the marketing, like, door-to-door marketing?
So there are two ways, the retail and the online. And because, we are bootstrapping, for us, we can either throw time at it or we can throw money at it and then figure out what works for us. So, but we can't throw money at it, obviously, because we're bootstrapping. So we try to see what's been working for us. So on the retail front, there are several ways for you to do the marketing. So there are in-store advertisements, in-store banners, or there is something called stand counters. The small ones. You can either put them on the counters, or you can put them on the side, or you can hang them in any of the aisles. So it costs a little bit more. That's a way for you to market. Or you can talk to the store owners and ask them if you can set up a stall, or you can do special discounts, special offers, and see where that goes. And that is on the retail front. And on the online front, because we are retail focused, our prices are only for the retail market. We cannot compete in the online space. Our margins just go away if we try to do that in the online space. So we've been using online only to build brand awareness. Yes, YouTube, Instagram, all of these things, they add to the story, they add to your portfolio, and that's something that we want to get into in the future.
So the reason why I asked is, like, see, whenever there's a product, especially a food, there's always a face which is related to that. So you never thought that it should bring in some face like a celebrity or someone to promote the product. Because of course, when someone is promoting a trusted celebrity, they tend to buy it more. So that was never thought about.
Wow, so money is a so we've never actually done that. But the thing is that, even online, right, the percentage of people who convert is very small. So do we invest in this, or do we invest in improving more?
Okay.
No,
No, not just online, like TV ads, those kind of stuff.
Yeah, so you can do it, but again, cost.
So you said almost 50 cities all over India, right? So on a daily basis, like how is the manufacturing process? Just run us in brief.
So every day we don't manufacture per order. We
Okay.
we already have our numbers. We know how much we need. So the manufacturing happens irrespective of the orders that flow in, and we also know when the orders peak. So this festivals time, right? October to December, Jan is when the orders peak. So we increase our production at that time.
Okay.
And we keep ourselves well stocked.
And in terms of logistics, like what is your primary mode of transport? Is it flight, train, or truck?
Flight is expensive.
Okay.
Unless you're doing in bulk, flight is very expensive. There was a time when we were bringing in some supplies, but we were doing in tons, so it made sense for us to do it by flight. But we use third-party logistics, and they are the ones who move our products from here to other places. Within Bangalore and Chennai, we have our own sales team, so they handle all of the shipping and delivering and all that. So
it's basically one factory in Bangalore catering to the entire India.
Yes.
Okay. And I mean, how big is this factory in terms of land size?
In terms of land, not big, about 5,000 square feet.
And how many machineries roughly?
I don't have a number, but about 10, 12, yeah.
And what is the strength of workers?
Strength of workers, so it keeps changing throughout the year. Some months are not that great, some months are okay. About 20, 25, 30. Yeah.
So you said, right, seasonal time the work increases. So during that time, your workload also is higher. So do you hire more people or?
Yeah, we hire more people. But because we already know, we hire in advance and then it work.
So that hiring process is through some agency or it's just word of mouth that you're referring?
We've been using word of mouth and it's been working for us. But we might have to go through agency.
But when you're hiring, right, like just for a stipulated 3 to 4 months, for someone that is new, so how long is that training process for the worker?
No, we don't do 3-4 months. We don't do 3-4 months because there's a lot of learning that has to happen. And also we want to be good to our employees. There's no point in hiring and firing randomly. So, we consider them family. So, and a lot of people have stayed with us right from the start of the business. So more than, the work aspect of it, it's that family that we have built. So we take care of them and we want them to stay for as long as they want to.
No, the reason why I asked is like there will be certain months, like you said, where the number of orders are high. Right? So during that time, you need some more work power. So that time, do you hire someone, or is it just the same number of employees?
No, we hire someone, and then we'll figure out the work for them at that time. But eventually, people quit, and numbers go down, and it somehow works out.
So you said, right, your father was to marine as well as he was a mechanical engineer, good paying job. And then he suddenly decided that he wants to start something of his own. You said the 5 years where there was no income. So if you can just walk us through, like, what was the struggles of your dad during those 5 years? Because it takes a lot of courage to throw away a high paying job and then go into something unknown. And then when you don't start seeing the money, there's a lot of frustration which creeps in. So how did he, go on a daily basis, like trying to get in the orders? Just tell us about that. Would be great.
Okay, so he was in a very, not just a very high paying job, he was in a very well positioned.
Okay.
And to go from there to step down and, talk to store owners because they don't understand where you've come from. They don't understand what you're trying to do. So you're just another seller for them. So the way they treated him, the way they, talked to him, he would come home and he would feel very bad about it. But he said, no, I'm here for a reason and I want to do this. So he would go and do it. And the initial days, because we wanted to keep our income, our expenses a little low, he would use Scooty Pep that was
Okay.
gifted to me for my 17th birthday to carry materials, carry products, and visit stores, talk to people, buy stuff from the markets. Also, he's done the grassroots, production or sales or whatever it was, and during those 5 years, because we didn't have a sales team at that time that we now have. We have two sales team, one in Bangalore and one in Chennai. But initial days, he was everything. He was the marketer, he was the salesperson, he was the customer while buying products, and he was also, the owner. So all rolled into one.
He was the one man running the entire
Yeah,
show.
one man running the show at that time.
So, do you remember what was the first order that we ever received?
The first order, yes, I remember, because we went to Spar at that. Spar was just opening, and he went and talked to Spar and said, "This is my experience. This is what I want to do." And when it opened in Bangalore, it opened in Mantri Mall, Spar, and my dad and I, we went there, and we had a different set of products at that time because he thought maybe these products will work, and they were put in special aisles as well at that time because it was a very big supermarket and there were not a lot of branded products. So at that time, whoever wanted to open retail stores or whoever wanted to get into this branded retail space, they would come to us. But now there's a lot of saturation in the market. So he was there at the right place at the right time, but the struggle was very real. Yeah.
So when did he get this idea that I want to start selling a chutney potty? Do you feel like my wife is making good chutneys at home and the world deserves to get a good chutney? So was it something like that?
No, it was my mother who gave that nudge.
Okay.
So she saw that they were only making B2B products, and she said, you should start moving in this direction. You can't hope to jump from here till there. Maybe start producing products right away instead of waiting until you have a hold of the market. She gave that nudge and she said, okay, let us do this. And she came into the factory and she stood there and did the research and did the trials, because it is very different when you do it at home and very different when you do it at scale. So how do you plan for that? How do you test for that? How do you maintain that quality? It took a lot of iterations to get that recipe right. So she was there making all of this happen, and my father was figuring out how do I make branded product work. That time, it was very expensive to go into printed pouches because you had to order a bulk, and we didn't go the investment route, so we didn't have that option. So he figured out how to get stand-up pouches. They were making that only in Gujarat at that time. And he was the first person to do this. And there were no stand-up pouches at that time that were available. And it was only much later that penetration happened in the market. He figured out how to get a sticker. He sat there at the printer store, and then he said, okay, I want the logo like this, I want this like this, I want it to look like this. He figured out the rules, the regulations, what is needed, and he was there even when the design happened.
So when you're going to a retail store, right, there's this whole concept of the shelf position. There's a price for every shelf because certain things which are more visible has a higher price. If you can just walk us through, like, how is that process where you get that particular position that you desire, and how do you go about it?
So if you're willing to spend money, you can ask for premium shelf space. So this ideal shelf space is like your third aisle, because that is the eye level of a lot of women. Women have average height of women is 5'2", 5'3", right? So that is the height. But that is not the only way that they decide on premium shelf. When the customer moves through the market, right? The supermarkets are designed in a way that you explore. So you walk and you see all of the products. So, the store knows which are the premium places. So you can ask for a price of where you put these products. But the thing is that the stores also have their own algorithm, if you want to call it that. So they know where to place their products and in what order to place the products. So they will segregate it in a way that daily needs come first, and then your sauces and your other stuff come next. And then sometimes you go to your bottom shelf, because maybe there are baking products, but then you are not very well known and you go into the bottom space. So it's very tricky. You have no control over where they place it. But you can actually do other things in that store. You can do special standard, but that is only like seasonal. You can't do it all the time.
So there's a different price for each thing, or how does it? Is there like some bidding thing kind of setup?
No, there's no bidding, because stores individually, right, in any given area, so they know what works for them. They know what products move. So they will have their own placing strategy that they will go for. So they will place it only according to that. Bigger companies, they'll probably ask for a special place. But as a small business, you don't have a lot of say in where the products go.
So in all these years, I think 15 years of running the company, and of course you all have a brand value also. Didn't anyone come forward saying like, I would like to be an investor?
Well, several times. But the thing is that we felt that we still needed to grow a lot more, and we still wanted to figure out what we are doing and where we are going, and then bring on an investor, because bringing in an investor also means that that they are responsible for a lot of the decision making, and we wanted to have that in our control for as long as we could before we get there.
Now that you have been a part of the company, what is your goal, and how would you like to help your father achieve that goal you have?
Okay, so where I came in with the intention to improve the brand awareness. So the way I did it was to introduce the e-commerce store. We didn't have an e-commerce store. And then we went on the marketplaces like Amazon and Flipkart. And at that time, we were also writing cold emails to JioMart. JioMart was just then launching. And then JioMart said, okay. And they also said, but we also want to launch in Reliance stores. Are you okay to do Pan India? And that opened a lot of doors for us. At that time, Big Bazaar was also there, and Reliance was in
Future Group.
Yeah. So they were trying to take over the Future Group. So we were there in Reliance and Big Bazaar for a couple of months, and then Big Bazaar became Reliance eventually.
So Reliance is your biggest customer.
Yeah. So, and then we did like the stand-up pouches for the longest period of time. And I thought it was time to make an upgrade, time to put our brand out there, and time to change the way, we did the packaging, we did the logo and all that. So I said, why don't we invest in this? And there was a lot of friction, because he was, this is a lot of money that we need to invest in in pouches that as a small business you don't have the luxury for. And I said, okay, let's push for it, let's do it, let's see where it goes. And the thing is that because a lot of customers are already used to a certain identity of your brand, because they see that stand-up pouch and they immediately think small business. They immediately think, okay, a quality product from a small business in a retail space. So for me, it was very challenging to go from that and introduce a printed pouch and say, we are changing, we're still the same product, but in a different package. When we met store owners for different marketing activities, some of them hated it. They're like, well, we liked your earlier stuff, and some of them absolutely loved it. But I knew that we were going to lose a few customers, but that was something that I was willing to take on, because my goal was different, and I wanted to just show the brand to the world. So from there, because we've been there in multiple cities in the country, there have been other stores that who have seen these products and have come back to us and asked for orders from us. So that's been great. That's been good. And for a while, I've been involved in every aspect. I've been involved in every aspect of the business. So one thing that, as a second generation entrepreneur, that I have advantage over my father is that a lot of things were already set up for me. So I also had the experience from him, and I was able to go to every department and see at the grassroots level what was happening, what we needed to do, and I came in with a fresh pair of eyes, and I had some experience in data analysis and some understanding of marketing because I'd worked in marketing fields. So I knew what would work over here, what would not, and I've been involved in different aspects of the business. For a while, I've been doing improvements in the sales and sorry, the operation side of things, and seeing how best to use data to automate our processes, how best to use software to automate these processes. So that's what I've been doing. And if you want me to talk about the future plans, for me, the first thing is to improve the store presence, and this is I want to do it through organized sectors, because organized sectors it's fairly easy for us. We go and deliver it to the delivery center, and they figure out where to place their product, and they figure out the reordering and all of that. It is easier for us. But with smaller stores, right, the smaller hypermarkets and supermarkets, we have to take care of a lot of things. But this is also a place where we can experiment. So I want a good mix of both. So that is one area that I'm really looking to improve, the store presence. And the second is brand awareness through online marketing activities.
Now, when it comes to a food product, right, there's always a lot of licensing and regulation part which we have to adhere to. How easy or difficult is it to get a license to supply food in India?
So you have to be aware of all of the rules that getting into any business, basically you have to spend a lot of time doing your market research, a lot of time learning what are the rules and regulations that you need. It is always best to talk to an expert, always best to get the best legal counsel that you can, and then have everything set up. And it is very difficult, especially with FSSAI, because they have a lot of very strict rules. I mean, it is food at the end of the day, and they want to be sure that your food is not causing some major disease, or it is produced in the right manner, or it is packaged in the right manner, or it is handled in the right manner, or even, as from the consumer rights perspective, the weights are correct, and all of these things. So you have to know and do your own research, basically.
There have been small cases where people procure a particular brand and they try to alter it and try to sell it so that the brand value comes down, and try to create a theory that this brand is selling adulterated products. Has that ever happened? Or
yeah, it has happened. So there was one partner we were giving our products to, and because the brand name was very well known, he used our brand name, but he was selling his own products. So the way to go about it is, you talk to them first and see how it goes, or if you have to take legal course of action, go for it, because you want to protect your identity, right? And we have always believed quality first. We've never compromised on quality so far, and that's been a USP. So we take it very seriously when something like this happens.
That's good. Now, from all these years, I'm sure you'll have a particular product which you are more close to or you like the most. Is there that product that you like a lot, you like to sell more than the rest?
So for me, in the chutney powder line, I really love flax seeds chutney powder, because flax seeds is considered superfood, and you have your omega-3 fatty acids and all that, but it's also very tasty. So I really want to see more of it. And our line of chutney powders is very unique. We didn't just say, oh, we're just a modaga pudi company. So we did a research into seeing what are all the different ways we can get innovative here, and that's one of the reasons why we really try to push the chutney powders, because it's our first love. And we have always made sure that quality is first and price is second. So for longest time, we actually sold it at break-even cost. And we still don't make a lot of profits out of it, but because it's our love, because it's something that we are very passionate about, we try to push for the chutney powders all the time. But my favorite will have to be ready to cook because it was something that I was emotionally invested in, and mine would be probably Pongal mix.
Because IT sector of Bangalore, there are a lot of PGs and bachelor guys. So for them, they can't hire a cook. So they always prefer something like ready to cook. So what is the most sold product in that line?
So that's how we actually targeted our supermarkets. We
Okay.
looked at places where there were a lot of like IT sectors and or a lot of PGs, and that is how we said, okay, these are the supermarkets that we will target, and we will see how it goes. And even in Chennai, we did the same thing. The most moving products for us is the Pongal mix,
Okay.
and the khichdi mix, um, and some of the masala powders, puliogare, rasam powder, and rasam powder is something that is very unique in ours because it is not just add water and make it.
Okay.
So it's called bele rasam powder, which is dal bele, and all of the ingredients that you need for a bele rasam is already in it. So you just add it and add water, add tomatoes if you want a little bit more tangy, and make rasam out of it.
I mean, you can make it as a curry or you can even carry it in a bottle.
Yeah. I
Drink it
mean,
as
protein.
posted.
So
So for a business like you, how long does it take to settle down and you start seeing some sort of profit where you're good money? You can give like a rough timeline.
So ideally, it's supposed to take 3 years because 3 years is what any business would take. But if you're taking more than that, you should probably look at what you're doing wrong and what you're doing right, and then change. So the thing with developing products in this line is that iteration is your key, and also other factors, right? Is pricing the problem? Are the stores the problem? Um, is the market the problem? You do your research over and over because sometimes you would think that a store is working for you, but the kind of customers that come there may not want to choose your product. So see if you can change your sales strategy in that case, or if price is the problem. But very early on you'll know if price is the problem. But these learnings, right, about the store and about the sales and about all that, these things take time.
So for someone who is looking into get into the food industry, like I'm sure you have first-hand experience of all the struggles that you have faced. You can just give an insight as to what they could face when they start their own company. It will be great for someone to learn.
Okay, if someone wants to get into the retail space, so one way to go about it is to go super niche, or you go into the saturated space. But the problem with in both the extreme is that if you go super niche, you are restricting your customer base, and if you go into the oversaturated space, the competition is more. So you have to find a good, good mix of both, something that is unique but still has a good customer base, and then build that one product and then expand your brand line, because it's very competitive in the retail space. So you have to have something, some unique offering for your customers.
Is there a 10-year target that you have kept, that after 10 years we need to reach this level?
Yeah, I do have a certain number in my mind, but more than the numbers, what I want to do is go to all the cities and have our own sales team over there and our own warehouse over there, and do some backward integration and improve some of our products and have unique offerings and see where it goes.
So if you can just explain us through the difference between an online sale compared to a retail sale, what would you prefer, and I mean what sells better for you?
So if you're a retail focused brand, so you have to understand that the costs involved in the retail space and the costs involved in the online space are very different. For you to go online, it takes a little bit of communication and a little bit of talking to your customers about who you are and what you are. When you're retail, your customers are interacting with your product physically. When you're online, you don't have that. So how do you bridge that gap? is a big question that you need to answer. And if you want to go online as a retail person, you probably should have a different set of offerings and a different set of brands. Because the problem with going online is that there are costs involved to that as well. Because you have to launch your store, you have to maintain that store, and then you have to do your marketing online, and it is not getting cheaper by the day. More and more people are coming in, so the costs of marketing is going up. It takes so much effort to put yourself in front of the customer, but when you're in retail, it is there, so people are walking past it. But when you're online, it can the real estate is very small, just your screen. So how do you make sure you stand out over there? So you have to understand that there is a difference between being retail and difference between being online. And for the online space, I cannot fully give you because I'm not the expert in the online space, but I can give you what it is from a retail perspective. So if you're in retail and you want to go online, use the online space to talk about your brand. Use the online space to build awareness, build that story. And then, when you're there in the stores, people will be able to connect and, pick your product.
Now, being a second generation entrepreneur, everyone thinks it's a cakewalk because everything is already set for you. You just need to go and run the show. But that's not always the case. We would like to know your point of view as what are the challenges you face as an entrepreneur?
Okay. So when you're a second gen entrepreneur, right, you are dealing with family and you're dealing with a lot of family. So you have a lot of friction because you come from a very different school of thought and they come from a very different school of thought. And how do you bridge that gap? So I do a lot of ask for forgiveness instead of permission approach. Because it's easier for me to show what I'm doing instead of explain what I'm trying to do. And the other thing is that, you are bringing home the business to your dinner table, to your breakfast table. And I am still learning to set that boundary with work and with business. But my dad is very strict about don't discuss business over here approach. And the biggest challenge, right, for you is that how are you going to be accepted by your peers? How are you going to be accepted by the other people? Because they only see you as somebody who has not earned their spot. So it takes a lot of effort for you to show that, no, I know what I'm doing over here and I know why I'm doing this. So this isn't just some handout for me. So I know what my effort is over here. So it took a lot of time for that acceptance to come in, for that respect to come in, and for people to see, okay, she's been doing the work and she knows what she's doing. So it took a challenge, but the biggest challenge is obviously dealing with my father on a daily basis. So sometimes, you defer to him because he comes with the ocean of experience, and whether you agree or disagree, you still want to respect that. And sometimes he defers to me because I'm that fresh pair of eyes that is looking in and seeing what we should do. And sometimes you meet in the middle and say, okay, we'll get back to this another time. At the end of the day, you have to have that respect for each other and that space that you need to give each other. Otherwise, it's just going to spill over everywhere.
Now, of course, I'm sure you'll be hiring for whatever position that is available. If someone wants to, be a part of your team, like how do they go about it, and what is the criteria that you're looking at?
So as of now, we are not looking into the highly skilled space because I know a lot of my friends who say, "Can I come work for you?" But in the sales team or in the production team, it's been a lot of word of mouth. But there are agencies where you can go and hire people for your set of work. Because we do not have a fixed set of work and we do not have like highly skilled labor. So our requirements are not a lot. So our word of mouth mostly covers most of it.
So as a second gen entrepreneur, again, you have your own way of doing things, right? In terms of marketing, your approach will be much different than how your dad used to run the show before. So is there something which you have done from your side?
So one of it was online, right? Because he was not seeing profits, he was not happy about it. But I kept pushing for it because I said, okay, but look at the numbers in terms of how many people are seeing these products. So that is still a big clash. But I keep pushing for it. And the second was different ways that we can market out there. So A for me was to have our brand visible in a lot of places, and one of those was for us to use our existing logistics delivery van. And I said, why not paint it? Why not have our logo colors, our products, and a website displayed on there? But we were a little worried that we may run into a little bit of legal trouble, because you may not, because this is still that delivery van, you have to follow that yellow board rules. But I said, no, let's push for it. Let's see what happens. I mean, we will not cross the boundaries. We will see where it goes. So the thing about being a small business owner is that you are responsible for a lot of the work. You have to be there doing every little thing. So even the product packaging, it was me who did a lot of the illustration and went and sat with the printer guy, who was pretty pissed at me that I'm changing my vendor. But I kept pushing for it and saying, no, just Anna, illy, do this a little bit, do that a little bit, and then doing a little bit of that. And even with the van, we had to go hunt for a guy who did the vehicle printer, and then ask for him to do that, and then run around to another person to get that.
Basically rebranding your trucks.
Rebranding the trucks, and we also brought in boxes. That was an investment that we needed to make, and I had to really push for it.
That's great, because you should also have something to say about in the company. I want it done this way. So let's try to focus this way. If it doesn't work, we go back to your way.
Yeah. So it's been a lot of that. Let me try something, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, we will see what we can do. And one time, somebody gifted something, and on that there was this nice tissue paper with the brand on it. So I took that, saved it, and I asked one of our employees to go do the research and find out who's manufacturing something like this. Before even I went to my father, because I know the first thing that he will say is no. So he did his research, he did the pricing and understanding of all of that, and then I went to him and then I said, okay, what do you think? But now he's the one pushing for it. He's been talking to people to see how we can use that in our chocolates to improve more of our brand.
So Pradyota, it was wonderful talking to you and learning about all the hardships and how you guys have been on the top, come down, and now again climbing back to the top. It's a beautiful story, and we would always love to hear the story from your father as well. Looking forward to having your dad on the show sometime in the future.
Nice pitch. Thank you for hosting me. And I also like to say that one of my passion projects that I've been working on is a podcast for sustainability and sustainable businesses, mostly focused on the sustainable businesses aspect of it.
So what's the podcast called?
I don't have a name yet, but I've been talking to people in the sustainable space. I've been doing my research on it, and the timeline that I've given myself is 6 months to just start the production work. It's a 6-season podcast, and I have my episodes in place already. So just figuring out what content, what questions, and who my guest list are.
Okay. All the best.
Thank you.
So guys, if you all liked hearing the story, it's a very unique story of a family which has been good, come down and grown up, and the struggles are real, and you've learned it from a second generation entrepreneur. If you like the story, do share it with your friends and family, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Until then, see you.